I would like to share with you in this moment the story of the life of a man who impacted my life. A man who touched the lives of many people. This man was born in Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico. At the age of 19, the Lord called him to serve him. And he began to study the Word of God, and he began to prepare himself for the service of God, for the service of the ministry. He then, later on, at the age of 23, became a pastor of a church in Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas. He pastored that church there for 20 years, dedicated his life, served God together with his wife and his children. 7 children in total. But the Lord opened the door for him to come and move to Dallas, Texas. The Church of God opened an opportunity for him to come and minister in the Spanish department, in the Spanish area in Dallas, Texas. And he came and moved here to Dallas, Texas with his whole family. And one of the things that impacted me from my father, yes, that's who I'm talking about. I'm talking about my father, a man of God, a man of integrity, a man who taught me the Word of God, a man who showed me God's steps and God's will for my life. He showed me to walk in the path of righteousness. Adolfo De La Garza was a man of integrity. He was a man of devotion. He was a man of service. And one thing he always told us was, walk in the path of Christ. Live as Christ lived. Walk as Christ lived. Follow the example of Christ. And that is something that he was very serious about. He always told us, be as Christ was. Act as Christ acted. Walk as he walked. And one of the phrases that he used to use was, el que no vive para servir, no sirve para vivir. I'm going to translate it for you. He who does not live to serve is not worth living. And that is something that my father taught me, and he embedded that in me. Because we were sent here to this world to serve. We were sent here to serve the people, the souls in need. And that is one thing my father taught me and embedded in my heart greatly. I know that when my father was moved here to Dallas, Texas, with his whole family, there was only maybe 3 churches that were Hispanic of the Church of God in the area of Dallas. And now I can't even tell you how many there are. I know there are several districts with at least 5 or 10 churches in each and every one of them. That is how Adolfo De La Garza has impacted this community. And that is how he has impacted the hearts of many. Not just by preaching the Word of God and teaching the Word of God and showing people who Christ was by the way he lived and acted, but also by giving of himself. He was a handyman. He was a mechanic. He was a servant. He would help people. He would go to hospitals. He would go to jails. He would go to many places, sharing the Word of God, sharing humility, sharing love, and sharing mercy with whoever he could find. There is one thing that I remember my father would always do. And I know that many of you say, well, I'm not going to give the man on the street the money because he's probably going to get a drink or he's probably going to buy drugs with it. But my father always had in his heart to help others because he said, you don't know if you're actually helping someone in need. So he would always change his money, and he always had his quarters on the dashboard. Or he had $1 stuck in the AC vent. And whenever somebody was asking for money, he would pull it out and he'd say, God bless you. He gave from his heart. He gave as Christ gave for us. And I want to close with this. My father was diagnosed with cancer in the vocal cords. After 30-something years of ministry, he was told, you will never preach again. But he didn't give up. He believed that God was with him. They tried putting a valve in this place because they took the whole voice box out. And they said, you will never preach again. The valve never worked. And one day, when he went to the doctor noticed he was speaking without valve. And he said, you know what? Your God is great. But you know what? My God is great. And my God used my father to preach his word. And even when he had no vocal cords, he preached the Word of God. And I only pray that one day I can follow that example. That I can only be a servant just as he was a servant. That I can display the love of God and reach souls for his kingdom and demonstrate the love of God just the same way that my father has done it. I'm blessed and my life is enriched because of the life of Adolfo De La Garza. Thank you for your time. God bless you.